Marcus had grown accustomed to silence. 3 years in the underground bunker had taught him to find comfort in the steady hum of generators and the soft beeping of life support systems. The world above had become a wasteland of ash and radiation, leaving him with nothing but memories and the hope that somehow, life would find a way to continue. His days followed a predictable routine. Check the air filters, monitor the water recycling systems, tend to the small hydroponic garden that kept him fed. Evenings were spent reading old books by lamplight, trying to forget the loneliness that gnawed at his chest like a persistent ache. He had accepted his fate as possibly the last human alive in this corner of the world. That acceptance shattered the night. She came. The sound started as a whisper against the heavy steel door. Tap, tap, tap. Sparkus froze, his book falling from trembling fingers. No one knew about this place. No one could have survived the radiation storms that had swept through months ago. His heart hammered against his ribs as the tapping grew more insistent, more desperate. "Please," came a voice, barely audible through the reinforced metal. "I know you're in there. I can sense your warmth." Marcus approached the door with cautious steps, his hand hovering over the security panel. Through the small viewing port, he glimpsed something that made his breath catch. A figure knelt outside, but this was no human survivor. Her skin held an otherworldly luminescence, pale blue, white like moonlight on water. Strange markings traced, delicate patterns along her exposed arms, pulsing faintly with their own inner light. "Who are you?" he called out, his voice hoarse from disuse. "My name is Zara," she replied, and even through the door, he could hear the exhaustion in her words. "I'm hurt. They're hunting us. Please, I just need shelter for a few hours." Marcus stared at her through the viewing port. Her large, expressive eyes met his. He saw something there that transcended species. Fear, desperation, hope. The same emotions he had carried for 3 long years. "Us?" he asked. "My people," she whispered, swaying slightly. "We came here, seeking refuge, but some of your kind hunt us like animals." Marcus watched as she pressed a slender hand against the door, leaving a faint, glowing handprint on the metal. Blood seeped through the fabric of her strange, form-fitting garment. She was injured, alone, and terrified. Everything he had learned about survival screamed at him to keep the door sealed. But everything he had learned about being human urged him to help. His finger hovered over the door release. 3 years of isolation had taught him caution, but they had also taught him the value of connection. In her desperate plea, he heard an echo of his own loneliness. "Step back," he said finally. The locks disengaged with a heavy thunk. Part 2. Secrets. Beneath the surface, Zara collapsed the moment Marcus opened the door, her luminescent skin flickering like a dying star. He caught her before she hit the concrete floor, surprised by how light she felt in his arms. Close, he could see the intricate details of her alien features. Her skin was soft and warm despite its otherworldly glow, and the markings along her arms pulsed gently with each heartbeat. "Thank you," she breathed against his chest as he carried her inside. "I didn't think anyone would help." Marcus settled her onto his small cot, trying not to notice how her touch sent unfamiliar electricity through his body. 3 years without human contact had left him starved for connection, but this was something different. Something that transcended the mere need for companionship. "Let me look at your injuries," he said, reaching for his medical supplies. Zara's wound was unlike anything he had ever seen. Instead of red blood, a silvery substance seeped from a gash along her shoulder. The edges of the wound glowed faintly, as if her body was trying to heal itself but lacked the energy to complete the process. "What are you?" Marcus asked softly. As he cleaned the wound, "We call ourselves the Nixhai," Zara replied, wincing as he applied antiseptic. "We come from a world that died long before yours began to suffer. We've been traveling the stars for generations, looking for a place to call home." Marcus worked in careful silence, his hands steady despite the turmoil in his mind. Aliens, real aliens. And they had come to Earth seeking refuge. The irony wasn't lost on him that he, who had hidden from his own species' destruction, was now harboring someone hiding from his species' cruelty. Your planet, he said as he bandaged her shoulder. What happened to it? Zara's eyes grew distant. Our sun began to die. We had time to prepare, to build ships, to save what we could of our people. But there weren't enough ships for everyone. I was among the lucky ones chosen to search for new worlds. You found Earth. You found Earth, she confirmed, her voice heavy with disappointment. We thought it would be sanctuary. Your world is so beautiful, so full of life. But some of your people fear us. They hunt us, capture us for experiments, or simply kill us because we're different. Marcus felt a familiar anger rise in his chest. Humanity's capacity for cruelty had driven him underground long before the radiation storms. Now it seemed that same cruelty extended beyond their own species. Not all humans are like that, he said quietly. Zara looked up at him, her alien features soft in the lamplight. You're not? She agreed. I can sense it in you. Kindness, loneliness, pain. Their eyes met and held, and Marcus felt something shift in the air between them. The distance that should have existed between human and aliens seemed to dissolve, replaced by a recognition that went deeper than species or origin. How many others are with you? He asked. There were 12 of us in this region, Zara replied. Now there are 7. Maybe fewer. The weight of her words settled over them both. Marcus reached out instinctively, his fingers brushing against her hand. Her skin was warm and soft, the strange markings pulsing more brightly at his touch. Outside. The wind howled through the wasteland above, but in the safety of the bunker. 2 lonely souls had found each other across the vast emptiness of space and time. Marcus woke to the sound of Zara's distressed whimpering. She lay curled beside him on the narrow cot, her skin flickering erratically between its usual soft glow and alarming flashes of deep purple. Her markings pulsed rapidly, like a heartbeat. In distress, Zara, he whispered, gently shaking her shoulder. Wake up. Her eyes snapped open, wide with terror. For a moment, she didn't seem to recognize him, her alien features twisted with fear. Then awareness returned, and she pressed closer to him, seeking comfort in his warmth. They're close, she breathed. I can feel them, the hunters. Marcus sat. Up, immediately alert. How close? Very close. They have devices that can track our energy signatures. I was hoping the radiation from the storms would mask mine, but she trailed off as a distant rumbling reached their ears. Vehicles. Multiple. Vehicles. Moving across the wasteland above, Marcus moved to his monitoring station, checking the surface scanners he had installed years ago. The screen showed 3 military vehicles approaching in formation, their heat signatures bright against the cold morning air. Armed figures moved with purpose, surrounding the hidden entrance to his bunker. They found us, he said grimly. Zara rose unsteadily, her wound still healing. I'm sorry. I've brought danger to your sanctuary. I should leave. No, the word came, out more forcefully than Marcus had intended. The thought of losing her, of returning to his solitude, was unbearable. We leave together. He moved quickly through the bunker, grabbing essential supplies and stuffing them into a backpack. 3 years of careful preparation had taught him to always have an escape plan. The old subway tunnels that connected to his bunker stretched for miles underground, a forgotten network that could hide them from their pursuers. Can you walk? He asked Zara. She nodded, though he could see the effort it cost her. Where will we go? Deeper, Marcus replied. There are places underground where no one will follow. As they prepared to leave, Zara suddenly stopped and turned. To him, her luminescent features were beautiful in the dim light, alien, but somehow familiar. Without warning, she reached up and cupped his face in her hands. Thank you, she said softly, for risking everything for a stranger. You're not a stranger anymore, Marcus replied, surprising himself with the honesty in his voice. The moment stretched between them, charged with emotion and possibility. Then the sound of drilling equipment above shattered the spell. The hunters had found the entrance. Marcus grabbed Zara's hand, intertwining their fingers. Her skin felt right against his, as if they had been designed to fit together, despite the impossible odds of their meeting. They slipped into the maintenance tunnel just as the bunker's main door began to buckle under the assault. The tunnel was narrow and dark, lit only by Zara's natural luminescence. As they moved deeper into the earth, Marcus felt her hand tighten in his. "I've never been this far underground," she admitted. "Stay close to me," Marcus replied. "I know these tunnels." Behind them, voices echoed through the bunker they had just abandoned. Angry voices speaking of capture and containment. Of specimens and experiments, Marcus led Zara deeper into the labyrinth of forgotten passages, away from the hatred above and toward an uncertain future. But for the first time in 3 years, he wasn't facing that future alone. Their footsteps echoed softly in the darkness as they disappeared into the depths, two hearts beating as one against the cruelty of a world that would keep them apart. Part 4. Hearts and Choice's abandoned subway station had been forgotten long before the world ended above. Marcus led Zara through the rusted turnstiles and down to the platform where a community of survivors had somehow carved out an existence. But these weren't human survivors. 7 figures emerged from the shadows, their skin glowing with the same ethereal light as Zara's. The HFY refugees moved with cautious grace, their alien features expressing relief and wariness in equal measure. "Zara," one of them called out, rushing forward. "We feared you were taken." The reunion was touching. To witness, Marcus stood back as Zara embraced her people, watching their markings pulse in synchronized patterns that seemed to convey emotions beyond words. He felt like an intruder in this moment of alien intimacy. An elderly HFY approached him, her luminescence dimmed with age, but her eyes sharp with intelligence. "You are the one who sheltered our Zara," she said. "I am Elder Voss. We are in your debt, human Marcus," he replied, "and you don't owe me anything. Zara would have done the same for me." Elder Voss studied him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable, perhaps, she said finally. "But few of your kind have shown us such kindness." As the group settled around a small fire built in an old metal drum, Marcus learned more about the HFY. They were scholars and artists, healers and philosophers. Their dying world had been peaceful, built on cooperation rather than conflict. The concept of hunting other sentient beings for sport or experimentation was completely foreign to them. "Are not warriors," Elder Voss explained. "We have no weapons, no defenses beyond our ability to hide. When your hunters found our first landing site, we could only run." Zara sat close beside Marcus, close enough that their shoulders touched. He found himself hyper-aware of every point of contact between them. When she placed her hand on his arm during the conversation, her touch sent warmth spreading through his entire body. Later, as the others settled in for rest, Zara led Marcus to a quiet corner of the platform. The space was intimate, shadowed, lit only by her soft glow. "Thank you for bringing me here," she said softly. "For helping me find them. I'm glad I could help," Marcus replied. Though part of him had hoped to keep her to himself a little longer, Zara seemed to sense his thoughts. She moved closer, her alien features beautiful in the dim light. "Marcus," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "What we've shared these past days, ... I know we're different species," Marcus interrupted. "I know this is impossible." "Impossible?" Zara reached up to touch his face, her luminescent fingers tracing the line of his jaw. "I've traveled across impossible distances of space to find a home. You emerged from isolation to save a stranger. Nothing is impossible anymore." The kiss was gentle at first, tentative. Her lips were soft and warm, tasting faintly of starlight and dreams. When Marcus deepened the kiss, Zara responded with a passion that surprised them both. Her markings flared brighter, pulsing with the rhythm of their shared heartbeat. "I love you, Marcus," breathed against her lips, the words coming from somewhere deeper than conscious thought. "And I love you," Zara replied, her alien accent making the familiar words sound like poetry. They held each other in the darkness. Two beings from different worlds who had found something worth fighting for. But even as they shared this perfect moment, the sound of distant vehicles reminded them that their love existed in a hostile universe. "They'll never stop hunting us," Zara whispered. "Then we make them stop," Marcus replied, surprising himself with his determination. "We find a way to show the world what your people really are. We make them understand." Zara looked into his eyes. and saw the same fire that had driven him to save her. Together, they began to plan not just their survival, but their future. The abandoned government facility had been empty for months, its computers still containing the files Marcus needed. While Zara and her people waited in the tunnels below, he infiltrated the building alone, downloading evidence of the alien hunting program. Video files showed Nixhai being captured, studied, tortured. It was exactly what he needed to expose the truth. But as he prepared to leave, soldiers surrounded the building. "Marcus Chen," a voice called through a megaphone. "We know you're harboring the aliens. Surrender now and we'll make this easy." Marcus looked at the data in his hands, then at the window that led to freedom and Zara. The choice was simple. He triggered the building's emergency broadcast system, uploading the files to every major news network simultaneously. Within minutes, the world would see the truth about the Nixhai. The peaceful refugees would no longer be painted as monsters. The soldiers stormed the building just as Marcus finished the upload. They found him standing calmly by the computer, his hands raised in surrender. "Too late," he told them with a smile.
Hours later,
as the news broke worldwide, public opinion began to shift. Protests erupted in major cities, demanding protection for the alien refugees. The hunting program was exposed and disbanded. And the Nixhai, it turned out, possessed knowledge that could help heal Earth's radiation damage. When Marcus was finally released from custody, he found Zara waiting for him outside the detention center. She ran into his arms, her luminescence flaring bright with joy and relief. "You did it," she whispered against his chest. "Saved us all. We saved each other," Marcus corrected, holding her close. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the garden of the new Nixhai settlement, watching as alien and human children played. Together under the afternoon sun, the radiation was already clearing from this area, thanks to Nixhai biotechnology. Crops grew in soil that had been barren for years. Zara approached him from behind, wrapping her arms around his waist. Her markings had changed since they'd been living together, incorporating new patterns that the Nixhai said indicated deep bonding with another being. "Elder Voss says the council has approved our union ceremony," she said softly. Marcus turned. In her arms, looking into her alien features that had become more beautiful to him than any human face. "Are you sure about this? Binding yourself to a human?" Zara laughed, the sound like music in the growing dusk. "Marcus, I was alone in the universe until I found you. You gave up everything to save my people. You're the bravest, kindest being I've ever known, human or otherwise." Their wedding was a blend of traditions, human and Nixhai customs woven together into something entirely new. As they exchanged vows under the stars, surrounded by both species, Marcus realized that his lonely years in the bunker had led him to this moment. He had thought he was alone underground, hiding from a dying world. Instead, he had been waiting for the knock that would change everything, waiting for love to find him across the impossible distances between worlds. Asked Zara's markings pulsed in harmony with his heartbeat. Marcus knew that some loves are worth any risk, any sacrifice. Some loves can bridge any gap, even the one between Earth and stars. Their first child would be born a year later, the first human Nixhai hybrid. A symbol of hope for two species learning to share one world. And in the depths of space, other refugee ships would hear the signal of sanctuary that Earth now broadcast. To the stars, love, it turned out, was the most powerful force in any universe.